Today we'll be looking at solving inequalities graphically. Our objectives will be to solve an inequality graphically and then to write the answer in 3 ways. Let's start with solving graphically. I know that you could solve this inequality symbolically, where you subtract things from both sides and add things and multiply and divide. But what we're looking at today, remember, is solving graphically, which means we're not going to do any of those steps that you're accustomed to. Instead, we're going to draw pictures, and we're going to get an answer simply from looking at the picture. Before we begin, let me make sure you understand that one of our challenges will be to know how this symbol should be in our final answer. Remember, when we're doing it symbolically, we know whether it flips or not based on whether we multiply or divide by a negative number. Well, here, since we're not doing those steps, we're going to have to figure out which way that symbol should face. So that'll be our biggest challenge that we'll have in doing this problem graphically. So let's start. It begins exactly like we did solving equations graphically. We'll enter the left-hand side as y1 and the right-hand side as y2. And as a matter of fact, we will graph that just like we did when we were solving equations. I want you to notice on this one that if you entered this, you may not see both of the lines on yours like you see on mine. Please notice that y2 is equal to 15 is a horizontal line located 15 units up the y-axis. So if I want to see that, I've got to change from my standard window. The window you see on your screen right now is using a y-max of 20 so that you can see both lines. Once we've got it graphed, we want to go on and find the intersection. Now you should know how to do that. We've already done those steps. Second, calc, intersection. And then remember, first curve, move it close to where they cross, enter. Second curve, move it close to where they cross, enter. Guess, enter. And then it will come back and show you the intersection. Now let me remind you, if at this point we were doing an equation, you would tell me x is equal to -5, and you would be done. But we're not doing an equation, so what we know on an inequality is this. We know the x and we know the -5, but we are still clueless about what happens to this symbol right here. We don't know whether it should be a less than or equal to or a greater than or equal to, because we're not doing those symbolic steps. So let's see if we can figure out how we will know which way that symbol should go. What we're going to do is enter a third line. So go back to y equal, and on the y3 line, we're going to enter y1 is less than or equal to y2. Now let me tell you how I decided that's what I'm going to enter on the y3 line. Remember up here, whatever's on this side is what we entered as y1. And whatever is on this side is what we entered as y2. Well, what I have right here is y1, which I got right here. The symbol I have is less than or equal to because it's the symbol right here. And then the right side is y2. So literally it is y1 is less than or equal to y2. The y1 should always come first, the y2 should always come second. It's just a question of what this symbol is. And it's whatever is in your original problem right here is what goes there. So we need to get this entered in your calculator. Here are your steps. Vars, which is right beside your clear button. You move your arrow key to the right, and that will highlight y-vars. The number 1 option there is function, and then you'll see a y1 at number 1. When you enter that, it will put in the y1 right there. Now we need to get the symbol. So we'll do second, math, which is test. And if you look down that list, we'll see our less than or equal to symbol is number 6. So that's what I'll enter. Now I need to get y2. Well, hopefully you know how to do that now. We'll do vars, move to the right, 1 for function, and this time we'll choose 2 for y2. And so you should now have the y3 line entered on your calculator. What we want to do with that now is we want to hit graph. And when you graph this time, you're going to see the same lines intersecting that you saw before, but now you're going to see one other thing. Notice right here this extra little line that shows up right here. Well, notice it starts at -5 and it shades which way? To the right. What I need you to understand is what your calculator has done for you is basically drawn you the number line. It's telling you it starts right here and it shades to the right. So if the number line is shaded to the right, what symbol should go right here? Well, it should be a greater than or equal to. And that's exactly what it is. Now your calculator will always draw that graph for you. If the graph had started here and had moved to the left, then it would have been a less than or equal to. I do want to hit one more time how we write this answer 3 ways. The first way is a number line, and I'm not going to redraw that for you. It's basically right here on your screen. It starts at -5. You could do a solid circle there if you wanted to, or that square bracket. It shades to the right and it goes to positive infinity. The next thing we want to do is write this answer in set builder notation. Remember, it's the set of all x's such that, and then you pick up this piece right here and you put it in right there. So x is greater than or equal to -5. And then our last piece is interval notation. A square bracket, -5, comma, infinity, with a parentheses closing it. I do want to point out that it's not sufficient to get this answer right here. You do need to know how to write it in whichever of these methods you may be asked for. Let's do another problem now for practice. -3 times 2x minus 5 is less than 10 minus x plus 5. What I would suggest you do now is stop the video, work this problem, remember to write your answer in all 3 ways, and then come back and check your answer. Please don't shortcut on me and do this one algebraically or symbolically, even though I know you can. I want to make sure that you practice the steps for doing this graphically. There will be problems where you will have to use this later on, so I want to make sure you understand those steps. So pause now and then come back. Well, you're back now, and so let's pick up with the steps for solving graphically. First of all, we would enter the left-hand side as y1 and the right-hand side as y2. We would then graph and find our intersection. Once we've done that, let me just remind you, at this point you would know x and you would know 2. You are still clueless about what goes right there. So let's continue. I would now come back and enter the third line. y1 is less than y2. Let me remind you, the y1 comes from this side because that's what we entered as y1. The less than is whatever symbol is used in the original problem, and the y2 comes from right there. So when you enter your third line and hit graph, I want you to notice that this time it starts shading from right here. And which direction does it shade? To the right, which tells me it's going to be a greater than. Now, your calculator can do a lot of things for you, but it's really difficult to tell on there whether or not it's a greater than or equal to or just a greater than. If your original problem didn't have an equal to with it, then whatever you have down here does not have an equal to with it. But you can get whether it's a less than or greater than from this number line. So your final answer here would be x is greater than 2, and you could write that in set builder notation or in interval notation. Notice that this time it's a parentheses on this side because this is a greater than, but it doesn't have an equal to with it. On the number line, you would have drawn it with a parentheses right there. I think this is another lesson you probably will like. I know you'll like the length of it. It's another short one. So I want to leave you with my thought for the day. Genius without education is like silver in the mine. Let's keep polishing on your genius. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.